Hey guys, welcome to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Monday evening. I hope we're okay. Hope we're all right. I hope the day has treated you as well as it possibly could have treated you. Obviously, game day today, obviously, shockingly, I know, playing in an hour and 40 minutes. So not long now till we even get a bit of team news. It's obviously out an hour and 15 before kickoff instead of an hour nowadays, which is, I guess, a bit more nicer for us simple folk. But we're going to be talking, though, Real Betis and their unlikely move for Giovani Lo Celso and where that leads us. We'll be talking about Wolves' potential need to sell for financial fair play, which could impact a João Gomez move. On top of that, we're going to be talking about Skipp's deal, and there's an additional bit of information within that deal. We'll talk a little bit of team news. We're going to talk about all sorts. We won't be here all night, but we'll talk about a few things. Just want to say, if you're watching this, subscribe. You're very much well enjoyed for the journey. And yeah, buzzing for tonight. I'm absolutely buzzing for tonight. It's been so good having the football back this weekend. Obviously, starting Friday with Manchester United, Fulham, having Saturday, having Sunday. And it felt good. It felt great the Spurs couldn't ruin my weekend, which is always quite nice. But let's be honest, tonight was always the game that we were all caring about. And yeah, can't wait for it. Evening Spurs, evening Dan, Dreadlock, Dean, how are we all? Yeah, let's jump in. Let's talk some Gio Lo Celso. And yeah, let's have a little look. So Ben Jacobs saying that he understands Giovani Lo Celso's return to Real Betis is unlikely at this stage, despite links. Now, obviously, that doesn't rule out the potential move that he does actually still end up there. The interest in Gio, obviously, we talked about it. Roma supposedly have shown their hand in wanting Giovani Lo Celso, and I think Gio would be fantastic at Roma. Obviously, we know about Aston Villa's interest. Aston Villa's interest, obviously, potentially could coincide with interest within a Jacob Ramsey deal. Obviously, we know that. But is there potential from outside of those teams that there is interest in Giovani Lo Celso? I've been thinking, is there interest from Saudi? Is there interest from? I mean, there'll probably be interest from other Premier League teams, but I don't think anyone as good as Villa. That's for sure. Would there be teams from the German league? I don't actually think so, but the Spanish league, the Italian league, and I guess Saudi is MLS. Obviously, we talked about MLS, haven't we, before? With Charlotte FC having interest in him. So I think there's plenty of interest. I don't see this being a situation where Spurs are just going to struggle to move him on. Obviously, we've got about 2 more weeks left of this window, so there's still plenty of time. Spurs have obviously shown that they can move off a player or two, so I'm not concerned that we're going to be sort of stuck with Gio. It could be worse. We could be stuck with players that we really don't want to use, but Gio at least has some potential. The one that, the other 2 moves being Reguilon and Solomon, they're the ones I'm more concerned about, if I'm honest. Solomon probably not as much. Reguilon, if Barca can sort themselves out, but I think Gundogan potentially might be coming back to Man City, which is really big for Man City. That could obviously help Spurs out to find a wiggle room to get Reguilon there, Like a big birthday win tonight, Solanke hat-trick. Well, Dean, happy birthday, mate. More importantly, Solanke goals incoming. I'll be here for it. He's in my fantasy football team for a reason. Him and Sonny. So there's that little bit of news on Gio. Moving over to just a little bit of the update on Oliver Skipp's deal. So we know it's 20 million with the potential of 5 million in add-ons, but there is a sell-on clause as part of the deal. So I think the sell-on clause probably be about another 10%. But you know what? 25 million plus a sell-on clause. Let's say he was sold for another 15 million next time around. It's another 1.5 million. Before you know it, this deal's nearly 27 million for the player. It's good money. It's good money. And the deal every day, the more that comes out about this deal, the better this deal has actually gotten. And fair play to Johan Lang and Daniel Levy and all those sorts that get involved in a sale of a player. They've done well on this sale. They have done well. We all like Skippy, but that's money you just can't refuse. It's a good deal for us all. Moving over to... I've talked about it a few times, actually. And yes, it maybe isn't a player that Spurs are going to be signing, but it's It's a sale of a player that impacts us for a good reason due to a sell-on clause. So I've talked about it before, but Graham Bailey's saying that Jack Clarke is open to a Leeds return. Expectation that he leaves Sunderland this summer. So if him leaving Sunderland this summer actually turns out to fruition, Spurs will be cashing in. I will just check on his sell-on clause so I can tell you. 25%. So let's say he gets sold for 20 million, 25% being 5 million. So that's, it's again, it's not groundbreaking money for when you talk about a big Premier League club, but every little helps. So, it's something that I want to bring in with all this stuff as well. I just can't wait for the game tonight. Fingers crossed we have a great season and win a trophy. I agree. I think Cozy. I do not have to say, no, I don't know how to say your last name, but I think Cozy. I agree, my friends. So, coming into Wolves. So, obviously, we talked about João Gomez in the previous video today, which, by the way, if you're watching this or you're watching this back and you haven't seen the first video, go back. We talked about 6 or 7 different things. Action-packed show. But John Percy through the Telegraph has said that Wolves' budget for the remainder of the transfer window will be around 20 million, despite banking over 90 million from the Neto and Kilman sales. Centre-back is a priority. The budget will increase if fringe players sold, but Wolves determined to safeguard financial position. So, even though obviously they've cashed in quite big on 2 players, you could probably sit there and say they'll end up making maybe another 40, 45, maybe even 50 million on a João Gomez sale. Spurs were like to push for João Gomez, is what I'm saying. We're talking about hypothetical here. So if Spurs were to go for João Gomez, they were to cash in, maybe it gives them a bit more room to, get a centre-back, bring a midfielder in, bring another attacker in, bring in a few different places here and there, because it'll give them a lot more money to spend. If you were to sell a João Gomez for, say, 45 million and you have 65 million to replace him, replace the centre-back, maybe get an attacker with good scouting, and Wolves are brilliant when they're scouting Portuguese players, they could probably replace those guys and have money left over. So there's still potential on João Gomez. Obviously, I know a lot of people were like, well, why would they want to cash in on him when they've sold Neto and Kilman? They probably don't need to sell. Well, according to that, they may still need to sell, but let's just hold off and see, because I'm on the board. I'm on board the train of, João Gomez would be great for Spurs. And I think he would be. I think he would bring in another dynamic into our midfield room. You have Sarr, you have Basuma, you have Bentancur, Bergvall, Gray, Maddison, Kulu, you could throw in there as well. If you add in a João Gomez, I could be on board with that. Absolutely. More of an aggressive 8 as well. He could probably play 6 if you wanted to, but he could be also an 8 where he could be really aggressive. I could be really on board with this deal. Prem proven, which always helps. And he's still young in his early 20s, so he's only going to get better and better and better. I could be very much on board with this. Evening, Mark, mate. How are you? Do you think we'll go for another English player again for the next transfer? Well, if we're looking at 2 different players, as, multiple sources have stated, you would think one of them is going to, they'll be pushing to sign at least one more English player. We'll see what they're going to do with that. Is it the midfielder or is it the defender? Hey, MVR, mate, how are you? You're right. So, yeah, there's a little bit on the Wolves FFP situation. A little bit of Leicester City team news for tonight, just so you have an idea. Supposedly, Connor Cody will miss out through a hamstring injury. Obviously, a few of you have said Daka will be injured with his ankle, and supposedly Jamie Vardy may miss time this evening with a knock. So, a few players missing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, that changes my mind. We're going to win 7-0. But there is there should be an optimism within the Spurs team to be like, we've got a great chance to get off the mark tonight with 3 points and get cracking, Hey, Gareth Bell Shopper, it still gets me. Hey, mate, you're right. Coys, have I missed anything? Big Ange, well, you have. We've talked about Wolves' FFP situation. We've talked about Oliver Skipp and the new update within the deal, which suits Spurs a bit better. We've talked about Giovani Lo Celso unlikely to be going to Real Betis and where we may think he ends up. And we talked about Jack Clarke's sell-on clause, which could help Spurs if he does move on from Sunderland. To give you a bit of team news for Spurs tonight, there is supposed rumours that Lancashire and Mikey Moore will not be on the squad, or in the squad for tonight. Which is, Mikey does I mean, Lancashire, I can understand if Richie's on the bench, which I assume Richie will be on the bench. Mikey does confuse me a little bit. I would have thought he would have featured, but maybe they're going with the idea of Kulu's going to start. And this is how I think Kulu will start right wing. Johnson will be backing him up. You've got Sonny being backed up by Timo. Manor Solomon may be on the bench as well. Into the midfield, obviously, Maddison, if he does start, Bergvall can, back him up. Alfie Devine could be on the bench. That wouldn't shock me. If Alfie's on the bench and Mikey misses out, I'll go, well, do you know what? We've got one of the youngsters on the bench at least. So, it wouldn't surprise me. What have I missed, Grieving? Mate, you missed 10 minutes. You missed loads, bud. That's all right, mate. Fishing plants is late. Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Afternoon, sorry I'm late. You should be sorry, Kieran. Kieran, how are you, mate? How are we all anyway? We're all okay. So, yes, I'm looking forward. So I thought I saw something. It's 9 players on the bench, minimum 1 goalkeeper. Yeah, well, that means, you're not going to get everyone on the bench, are you? So if you think the bench is going to be, say, Brandon Austin, you'll have Jed Spence, Dragujin, Davies, Bergvall. Look, this is obviously my team. This is how I've said it. It doesn't mean this is going to be exactly a bench. Bergvall, Gray, being a couple of midfielders, Johnson, Werner, Richie, Solomon. That would be 9. So, yeah, Lancashire and Mikey would miss out in that regard, Hey, Robert, mate, how are we? You all right? So, look, good stuff really on Lo Celso. Just to sort of round up on Lo Celso, I see Lo Celso still moving on. Obviously, Betis maybe aren't the team. That's fine. You still got Villa. You still got Roma. I'd assume there's probably 1 or 2 other teams that aren't names that will be linked to him. With Reguilon and Solomon, I'm praying as well on those 2. Because you think, if you move off those 3 and you've moved off what we already have, that's an incredible summer of moving off of players. That's unheard of, that kind of shifting of deadwood. And it does make me think they're truly going to back Ange, because if you are moving off that many players, not extending Tanganga and Session, see if you can squeak out a few million out of them, it shows that you're really trying to back Ange, which, do you know what? It's nice. Is Alfie Devine and Lancashire playing for the 21 or what? Couldn't tell you, mate. You captain Solanke on FBL. I hope he scores a couple. Tell you what, Josh, I've got Solanke in my FPL. I'm hoping he doesn't score too many. I don't need you causing havoc in FPL for everyone else. Let's have Sonny score a few. I don't think many people just captain Sonny. Let's have Sonny scoring a few, and maybe Solanke getting some assists. I could do with Pedro Porro not picking up assists, by the way, tonight, because a lot of people have Pedro Porro in their team. And I could do with that not being a thing. I can handle a clean sheet, but if people start doing assists through Porro, I'm going to be on for a bad week. Still getting screwed there. Okay, Donna, I'll be aware. Of course you got Pedro Porro as well, Josh. Bloody hell. Leave some hope and people for us all. Oh, Ange's having a quick stroll around the pitch. Apparently, he's already out there. Apparently the under 21 cup game is tomorrow, assuming they'll both be. Yeah, so Lancashire and Moore probably are playing tomorrow in that game. So yeah. So look, interesting stuff, really. Obviously, I won't hang around tonight. Obviously, got stuff to do. I will be actually watching the game with the guy that I will have on this channel once or twice a week. I'll make sure I put a little community post up so you get to meet him. And he will be on the channel maybe next week. I say next week, maybe later this week when we play our next game, just to have a quick look. Just so I have an idea of when we're playing. Saturday, 3 p.m. So maybe, yeah, we might try and do a preview ahead of that game. Get him on the channel as well. A captain Sonny, let's have a hat trick. Brutal. That is brutal. I'm not going to win either way, am I, Kieran? I've got Josh that's doing business with Solanke. I've got you doing the business with Sonny. I'm going to be screwed, aren't I? We're absolutely screwed. People got Maddison and everything like that. Who's one player that people aren't going to have in this team? Is it going to be like Brennan Johnson or Timo? Timo Werner comes off the bench and scores a hat trick. Oh, yeah, there we go. No one's going to have Timo. It'll be fine. That will be fine by me. Timo. Yeah, Timo, Jed Spence. Jed Spence hat trick. Book it. It is 15 minutes there. There we go. Look, I don't know what's going on with yourself, Donna. I can't lie. No idea what's going on. But yeah, look, I'm gonna hop off now and let you all go and enjoy the build up. The build up started 60 minutes ago. Go watch the build up. Go support the boys. And yeah, hopefully we speak tomorrow and Spurs win. I'll see you all tomorrow, everyone. Peace out and enjoy. See ya.